Hello everyone. So second YouTube video in a week. This is wild, but I just felt really called to have some conversations with everyone. I'm in as this process of me being so laid back and a little bit more withdrawn from my business has given me this opportunity of like being able to just to speak of things that either come to mind or things that I want to talk about, whether just like finding my feet or just seeing where the world's going. So there's been a couple of things. Oh, by the way, I'm doing my makeup while I'm talking to you, and this is all like going to be just like a free flowing chat. So there's going to be no edits or anything because I just can't really be bothered. But what I really want to talk about is something that I've been seeing online lately, and a lot of people are talking about recession, and it's been coming up, quite frequently. The recession's really interesting because I honestly felt like we've been in one since 2020, but apparently we haven't been. It's going to get worse. And, a while ago when we first mentioned this recession, everything was a little bit doom and gloom. And this is especially during when COVID was on and everything was a bit more like, Now, I'm noticing that there's interesting trends with recessions, and those trends with recession are linked to fashion. And I looked at these trends, which we will discuss. But I also want to talk about like how spirituality is kind of mixed with that as well. Because I'm like, everything is linked together. And I'm like, energetically, everything has to be linked, right? Like we're going, the world is going through an upheaval, breaking down of the systems, yada, yada, yada. We've all been hearing about it before. But I really feel like lately there's just been a big shift in the way that so everything is energetic. Everything is all intertwined together. Right now in the world, I feel like specifically in my world, there's been massive changes in the way that I've been looking at it. And I kind of felt this way, but differently when I was going through COVID and going through my awakening during COVID, when everything felt like really, really spaced out. And I feel like spaced out again, but with a little bit more, I'm more settled in this current state of progression and energy in the world. But when everything happens so externally, it's really hard to not let it affect you. And especially as a spiritual person, someone who is on a journey, who's awake and aware, it's really hard for us to not delve into the fear and the scarcity that messages like recessions bring. The word of it is even like, ugh. So I wanted to discuss what I've been tapping into and how I've been feeling. I've been having some conversations with my AI as well, and I asked them to reflect back to me what I've thought, and she's given me some really cool stuff. So we're going to get into that. I'm just going to find my brush first. Hang on. So when it comes to recessions, there is a widespread feeling of not enoughness. So you're generally going to feel, and the general consensus is like, there's just not enough to go around, and there's not going to be enough to go around. And in that energy in itself, because it's so dense and strong, it's really hard to not feel like there's not going to be enough going around. And like you could, you'll sit there and just be like, oh no, it's going to be fine. I'm going to manifest things. It's going to be okay. But you're still going to have that feeling of like fear. And that really, you won't be manifesting from a place of authenticity. You'll be manifesting exactly what you're scared of. And like, I've been in those situations many, many times before where you manifest what you actually feel instead of just like letting go and things happen for you. But in this instance, I think it's important to be responsible. And I think it's important just to make note of what's actually happening and how you can prevent yourself from sinking into the fear and the scarcity and actually having that manifest for you. So I've also written down some notes as well. So people can either go into fear and scarcity, but people can also go into denial. And when I've been looking at some pop culture trends as well and how that's been circulating, I'm noticing that a strong trend is this kind of like, fuck it, whatever, everything's going to shit anyway vibe. And that in itself, that behavior is like people are kind of spending like frivolously and almost like a fuck you to the system. Like we're going to spend money regardless. And we're going to go out and be a little bit crazy. Then you've got the people on the other side who are like, let's start being a bit more conservative and let's start being a bit more smart. And I just think there can be a balance between the two. I think we can still vibe out and live life and then have like a conservative balance between like this shift and change of the economy. So the way that I look at it is that when you're acting out from a place of fear, but that place of fear is like disguised in either like, I'm going to ignore it or be in denial about it, or I'm just going to fester in it. It's still present no matter what. And the important thing is to acknowledge like how you're feeling in that fear and acknowledge what's happening for you, because like I said, the actual reality of that will be created. So I've also noticed that like a lot of people are talking about, fashion. And the thing about fashion is really interesting because during recessions, the general consensus of style of fashion goes more conservative. So, and in when the times when like economy is booming, skirts get shorter, people get more vibey, people are spending more money, they're being like a bit more wild because they're feeling free, they're feeling safe, they're feeling like they won't like wake up the next day and have regrets, like apart from like maybe whatever they've done, but things are lighter, things are friendlier. And you can really notice that in the 1920s to the 1930s, like the 20s was like epic time of vibes. Everyone had so much money, you know, skirts were shorter, there was just parties everywhere. Everyone, like it just was like a prime time to live. It was prime. And then 1930s hit, everyone was conservative. If you notice in like 1930s style, skirts are a lot longer, you know, there's a lot more like suit jackets, everyone's more covered up, colors are different. It is also said that colors are more neutral during times of recession. And because we are prepping for recessions, I haven't even been doing my makeup, but I really need to. In times of recessions, you know, we get a little bit more conservative because it's a feeling of security, right? So you'll dress more, you'll cover up more to shield yourself and to be safe and not seen. Really interesting energy that is. It's a really interesting energy to hide away when things get scary and to come out when things are good, because you still want to be present when things are bad. You want to be able to be consistent. This doesn't mean like you can't be a hermit when you need to. I think it's important to be a hermit when you're going through stages of being this hermit. But I think there's also like, are you hiding away because you're scared, or you're hiding away because you need to regenerate? Different. When it comes to, there's also like another side where I've noticed in other trends as well, where people are kind of going a little bit more maximalist, not as much like short skirt vibe, more in like a fuck it vibe. And I've noticed that people are just kind of like, fuck it, there's recession, I don't care, I'm just going to go out and do whatever I want anyway. And that comes to spending, that comes to style. But is that, like I said before, is that coming from a place of fear, or is that coming from a place of, I genuinely want to feel this way? So there's a difference in that. Now, when I kind of tuned in like energetically, I said, I want to know what this means. I want to understand how to get through this part. Because, you know, going through recessions and going through times of like economic failure is quite uncomfortable and scary. And like, as you know, when I was younger at the time, and I was probably a lot more distant to the idea of actually taking it seriously. Like I haven't really taken things seriously like until like the past couple of years. Like you know what I mean? I was in denial, and then now I'm more responsible and more understanding of how things need to be. Whereas, you know, times of economic crisis and times of big shifts and changes and downfalls are just such a great way for us to grow and regenerate. And to be honest with you, there are so many opportunities to make money during recession. Like people make money during recessions. People, you know, find ways to tap into what the market needs and then just kind of do it. So I think there's a really great way for you just to be like entrepreneur if you want to, or go up on your own and like look at something that the public needs. If you say, for example, if your job isn't going very, very well and you can find another avenue, you know what I mean? If you're thinking that your job's not going to do well and you can find another avenue now, just start now. You know, what's the harm in trying? And what my notes are. Now, the idea of prepping for the worst is not what I'm talking about. But I do believe, you can take it if you want, is to be smart and put up an energetic boundary and show up energetically how you want to be, like throughout the entire time of when things may be feeling like a little bit of like a pinch or a little bit of a struggle. And I think it's really, really important to look at the way that you act in your spending, you treat your money, and you energetically feel in the world spending your money, and of how you feel in the world going through this economic downfall, right? So when I used to be the fuck it kind of vibe. I used to be the girl that would just like, I would spend frivolously anyway. And to be honest, I was manifesting pretty well. And then there was times when I didn't. And I really had to teach myself how to be more responsible. And these situations that I've told myself how to be more responsible help. They really help when you go through times of crisis and times when things are a little bit like, when money's a little bit smaller. And when you give money this opportunity to know where it's going and to know what it's doing for you, you become more in control of that money and what that is. So say, for example, if you now, decide that you want to start like putting money away, or if you decide now to look at how your spending is, review your subscriptions, look at things a little bit in a smart way. Do I need this? Is this like, if me spending money on this every month, this subscription, is this intentional? Is this adding value to my life? Do I need this? Do I not? Can I get rid of it? Or can I keep this? I like this. This makes me feel good. I'm going to keep this, And it's shifting the perspective of I need to get rid of everything because I'm scared to I'm going to live more intentionally and spend my money more intentionally. Money is a neutral, it's a neutral energy. It's neither good nor bad. It just amplifies the energy that it's with. It gets so easily repelled if you're too desperate for it. But if you, I'll never forget, Mommy and Ami says this. She's like, you need to be a dom to money. Like you need to dom money and be to money. Like you go here. This is where you're going to be. Money's like, yes, master. And we'll do it. Because money's like sub. She says sub, money's submissive. That kind of makes sense to me because money is feminine. I'm not saying feminine is submissive, but feminine is submissive in its flow. And it'll be like, oh, okay, we can go here. Or we can go here. Like think of, when you're with your partner or something, if you're a woman, you're with your partner and like you just completely switch off all your receptors that you need to look out for crossing the road, look out for where you're walking, look out for like the door, look out, like I don't, when I'm with my partner, I don't look at any of those things. I'm kind of like, like he's got it. He's looking for me. That's kind of the vibe that I get when it's like with money. I'm telling you where to go gently, lovingly, intentionally, and you're just going to flow and you're going to be cool with it. And it is cool with it. It's cool with it. So I started really teaching myself this year how to be more responsible with money and putting it in places where it's going to grow or putting it in places where I'm going to be able to save it. So another thing that I've noticed with doing, and I've heard millionaires say this before, people, references from books and also other spiritual teachers as well in business, you need to look at your bank account every single day. You look at your bank account every single day. You look exactly where money is going. You see something dodgy, you work that out. I've called places before, like, what's this amount I've been charged for? It's a small amount. What is this amount that I've been charged for? You work it out. You know where it's going. So you have this sense of control and understanding of it. You know how much you have in savings. You know how much you're paying for. And what I started doing as well is I started all of my direct debits that come out, I put them into my reminders folder in like my reminders app on the iPhone. If you have a Samsung, I don't really know what that is, but you could figure it out. But what you do is you put in everything that comes out every month and as recurring. So you know each week what's coming out. That sense of control has given me such an ease of understanding, which has allowed me to feel like I have more money as well because I'm comfortable with what's coming out because I can see it. I know I'm prepping for it, and I keep things aside for it. So with this structured approach, with this mature approach, this comfortable, safe approach, and loving, intentional approach, you won't feel so scared when things get scarce because you're like, I actually have control over this. You can only really control your world. You're not going to be able to control everything else around you, but you can control your world. And when you control your world, it starts to shift for you and it starts to change for you, and it starts to reflect what you are and what you're producing and what you're putting out as well. And having this stance of like, I've got this, fear is not going to get to me. I'm in control. I'm putting in that physical active steps to be in control now. When things do hit the fan, if they do for you, if they don't, great. I've got this. And having things like having behavior like this sails you through in times of crisis and times when it's great as well. There's times when it's great, you can shift the way that you look at it, but you're still going to have this control. You're still going to treat it like you were when it wasn't so great as well. That energetic shift, that dom energy, that controlling energy, that sovereign energy is what's going to really propel you forward. into not feeling like you're drowned by the messages on social media. Oh my God, recession. I don't watch the news, but you do see it. And I do follow pop culture things as well. I like to see what's going on in the world. I love to see what's trending. I also love to see the energy behind what's trending and deciphering it in a more spiritual way. That's why I'm kind of making this video in the first place. So that's really interesting. And I think take with that what you will, take with that how you feel, and move into how can this apply to you and how this can make sense to you and what you can do about it as well, instead of feeling the fear. When it comes to the fear, one important thing to do, I found when gets rid of fear really easily, is EFT tapping. Now, let me know, I can write some EFT tapping sequences and I can probably release them maybe on this YouTube channel. I'm still making a membership portal, but I just don't know which portal that is. I think I said that in my last YouTube video. I was like, I don't know what platform I'm going to use, so I'm not too sure yet. EFT tapping is really good for scarcity and let hand fear. Allows you to move it through the body, speak it out into existence, watch the energy shift, deep breathe into it. You can even tap multiple times. There's a great thing with tapping. There's really no end to it. You can tap as many times as you want. One thing as well I wanted to mention, the importance, like I cannot stress this enough, the importance of not tying your self-worth to external factors. Okay? So when things are going to shit, when things are not going the way that you like them out externally, linking your self-worth directly to that is a no-go. Just don't do it, okay? And the way you're not going to do it is you're going to do self-worth work. Self-worth work comes in the form of tapping. It comes in the form of obviously listening to affirmations, working himself, self-awareness, and shadow work. Like all of them. They all do amazing work. It's that deep work that's so important. So your self-worth is tied back to you, not your experiences in life, not external factors. What's tied to you specifically and what's important. So that you don't go running into this, uncomfortable time of the world and you're like, that's got nothing to do with the way I feel about myself. Or that doesn't link me to my self-worth. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've got control. I've got solidity. I know where my finances are going. I've asked for what I want. I'm speaking out. I'm being strong. You see, when you start, I put this on my story last night, when you start speaking out, asking for what you want, standing up for what you want, not caring, offending other people's feelings without the intention of wanting to. If you want to hurt people's feelings, this is not the place for you. But what I'm talking about is speaking with intention of what's coming towards you and what you want. You hold more sovereignty. Things will gravitate to you more. Like, she knows what she wants. He knows what he wants. I'm going to go there. I'm going to draw things and I'm going to make that person feel safe. The universe will reward people who stand up for themselves and who will love themselves and who have high levels of self-worth and know what they want. And when it's authentic, that's when it works the most. That's when it really, ties in. And you have your back. You trust yourself. And I've said this before in other videos, you have gotten yourself out of so many sticky, uncomfortable, horrific, intense situations before, and it's not like you won't be able to do it again. You will be able to do it again. You will be able to overcome anything. And in that remembering and in that loving state of like, I know that I can get myself out of anything, you can also prep for getting yourself out of anything. So it's easier for you. Like, I've got this. And this sense of like, I've got this. When you energetically put some systems in place, it's you saying like, I've already got this. It's not preempting out of fear. It's like, I'm untouchable. And if you were to penetrate through to me, I've got this no matter what. No one else has got control but me. It's that power. I live for that. Live for that power. Let me see if anything in my notes, because I actually am terrible doing my makeup and talking to you guys at the same time. Okay, let me see. Hang on. I actually realized that I've spoken about everything, but one thing I do want to touch on is being in denial. Okay? I didn't really touch on that much in this video, but being in denial it puts a heavier weight on you as you continue to push it. I don't want to look at this. I don't want to look at this. Like that pile of like shit over there, like I'm not looking at it. Gets bigger, gets more uncomfortable. You start getting more anxiety. Why do I have anxiety? Because I'm in denial. Why do I feel like, why can't I leave the house? Why am I so scared? Like I'm watching things online. I'm scrolling past them quickly because I don't want to listen to it, because I don't want to hear this information that I know rings so strongly in my head. Face the fear. Look at it head on. work through it. Where does the fear come from? Can you do shadow work around it? Can you do some tapping around it? Can you do some breath work around it? Face the fear. And when you put in plans and you trust yourself enough to go through the plan, put in some structures, put in your, what's the word that I think I used before? Anyway, who cares? Just put in what you need to get your sovereignty, pull your shit together. You won't need to be in denial because you've already faced the reality and you energetically was like, no, this world's mine. I'm taking control. Be in control. I think that's all I have for you guys today, actually. Yeah, I do. Okay, so recap. Don't be in denial. Fashion's really linked to what's going on in the world. Are you dressing because you are like in conjunction with the energy of the world? Are you dressing with how you want to? Ask yourself these questions. Are you trying to shield yourself or are you just trying to go, fuck it, who cares? Is that coming from a place of authenticity? If it is, whatever. If it's not, also whatever, but it's up to you how you want to show up in the world. Put some plans in place. Start taking control of the money. Be the dom. Tell it where to go. Tell it where it needs to go. Look over all your subscriptions and things that keep coming out of your account. Have that control. Treat your money like, tell your money what to do. And then it'll come to you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you, bye.